What exactly is the ideation phase, stage 3?
The next phase in our design thinking process is where the fun starts. This is where we move into the creative thinking phase, the ideation phase, where we're going to use a lot of techniques, a lot of creative thinking, divergent thinking techniques in order to create different possible solutions for the needs that we have identified in phases 1 and 2. One of the creative thinking techniques that works very well is to deconstruct, if you like, the elements of the problem. Everyone has breakfast in the morning, but I hope everyone has breakfast. If they don't have breakfast, they should be having breakfast now. And one of the most universal recipes for breakfast would be to make yourself a piece of toast. But what is a piece of toast? Well, if we deconstruct toast, we're going to find that toast is bread. It's also a source of heat, but it's also the toppings, what we're going to put on the piece of toast. Once we've identified the elements of toast, then we can build a list of possible alternatives. These possible alternatives, we could say a list of alternatives to bread, alternatives to sources of heat. Why not cook our toast on the fire, on the car bonnet, on a hot day in Sevilla? Or what are the alternative toppings? We generate lists of alternatives, and then we'll try and match some of these alternatives to see if we can renegotiate, if you like, the meaning of toast. As this isn't enough, because we could just be creating lots of useless pieces of toast, we may go back to our initial definition of the user's needs to find out how toast might fit into their life and create a toast that meets their needs, their values, and their expectations of life and breakfast in the morning. This is just one technique of creative thinking we could use. There are many, many other creative thinking techniques that we can use, but basically we're trying to create as many different possible solutions as possible to meet the very specific need that we've identified in our client or our user. That would be phase 3. It's a fun, creative phase where anything goes.
What does stage 4 involve?
After we've created all these different pieces of toast, all these different possible solutions for our user, for our client, we may go amongst our colleagues, our friends, or people outside of the project to share some of these insights, to share some of these solutions, and find out what they think, what's their feedback on the solutions that we've generated, to try and narrow our solutions down to 1, 2, or 3 solutions that we can carry forward into stage 4. Stage 4, what we're going to try and do here is build prototypes of the solutions. These can be prototypes. We can use Lego, we can use plasticine, we can use Playmobil characters, or we can use cardboard or polystyrene blocks to build a prototype of our solution, and a prototype that's then going to help us take the solution to the client, to the user, to see how they interact with our solution. We're going to try and narrow these down. We could also do this by niches. If we've got lots of different users of the product or the service, we could try different solutions for different users.
What is the final stage of design thinking?
The final step, or the final stage in our design thinking process, will be to take these solutions, take this prototype to the user, see how they interact with the prototype, and gather feedback. The feedback that we gather from the interaction of the user with the solution is going to help us maybe to go back to stage 3, maybe to go back to stage 2, to redefine the needs, or to generate more solutions for future prototypes. The benefits of doing this from an entrepreneurial viewpoint are that we generate ideas, we discover needs, we discover necessities, and we build prototypes before we've invested all of our money, all of the bank's money, or all of our family's money in a final product or a final solution which can lead us into ruin and poverty. This also, the design thinking process adds an element of play to the entrepreneurial process. This element of play where we play with different solutions, we play with different prototypes in order to redefine the needs of our client and understand them better and build better solutions for the users, the final users and the clients of our products and services.